Good morning, everyone. I thought it'd be a nice day to come on as we take a break for MLK Day, to kind of recognize his legacies and everything, to just kind of share some words. And I thought it'd be good to actually do that in front of a picture of my great great uncle, Robert S. Williams, given his contributions as well. So a lot of times, it's kind of like we learn from the past, but sometimes we forget the past and we're bound to repeat it. So it kind of made me think of generations past. So today we honor Dr. Martin Luther King, right? But the struggle started, of course, generations before him. And one thing I like to highlight is his own grandfather. His name was Adam D. Williams. He was from Atlanta, Georgia, and of course he was the pastor of the famous Ebenezer Baptist Church. But in the early 1900s, when civil rights, so to say, was pretty oppressed, right? Reconstruction had happened. African Americans were achieving a lot, and then the Jim Crow laws were really kicking in, and they were taking away things like the right to vote. So in 1906, it was several people, including Martin Luther King's grandfather, Adam Williams, and of course my own great great uncle, Robert Williams, and W.B. Du Bois. They joined together and held the 1906 Georgia Civil Rights Convention, one of the first of its kind. And their big struggle was equality. They were trying to get the right to vote. They were trying to do away with a lot of the separate but equal and roll back the Jim Crow laws. Now, this again was the early 1900s, and this was Martin Luther King's grandfather and my great great grandfather. So you push down two generations, and you have Dr. Martin Luther King, which is in the generation of my granddad, Lloyd Williams, right? And Martin Luther King was leading that struggle, trying to get away from all the separate but equal things. My grandfather, of course, born in the 1930s, would have lived through a lot of that black only restaurants, white only water fountains, and just all those crazy things, and the suppression of the vote. A lot of tactics to scare folks from voting. So now we fast forward again, and it's 2020. And yesterday you had Martin Luther King III on TV talking about civil rights and talking about voter rights. And then, of course, you fast forward a couple of generations, Lloyd Williams, you have me, and I'm talking to you today. So it's kind of, it brings it to full circle when you think about it. Today, we're honoring the legacy of someone who fought for equality, and tomorrow our Senate will more than likely vote down a voters' right law, which is insane. But again, a lot of people try to twist words. That's why I kind of rely on things like actual thesauruses and dictionaries, right? So when you start looking at oppression, right? People try to define it different. The same thing as help. So I figured I'd look at help, right? So if you look at help in the book, it says that to help is an act or instance of giving some kind of service that will benefit or assist, right? Some synonyms are like assist, comfort, relief. And then it has another definition, something that is beneficial. So when you think about it, in the last couple of years, you've had about, I think it's like 13 or 16 states introduced a combination of like 34 different laws that restrict voting, right? Again, they're putting in place things that don't assist and don't help. When you have older people having to stand in longer lines, and you're saying don't give them chairs, don't give them water, that's a restrictive measure. It's not assisting people to exercise their constitutional duties and rights. So I would say, yeah, today's a day off, and we should all enjoy it. We work hard. We should be able to, play hard. But I would say definitely take a moment to kind of take that in. What we're going through right now, and what we see in our Congress right now, while we're off today. And even Martin Luther King Jr., right? He was living out a legacy of his family. His dad, was also a minister and a civil rights activist. And like I said, his granddad, Adam D. Williams, was also a civil rights, fighter and an activist. So a lot of times people say, I am my ancestors or I am their legacy. But in his case, it kind of shows that. And the same thing you see with his son today, the third. He's always leading these civil rights charges, and just trying to live out the things that his ancestors fought for. We all try to do it in our own different ways. I try to do it by being a good father, being a good husband, and of course being an academic. That's one thing I'm pretty proud of is, we had ancestors who came right out of slavery and were able to amass great things within one generation. We had Charles H. Williams, who was awarded his Master's of Divinity in the late 1800s. Of course, Dr. Robert S. Williams, his Doctorate of Divinity and his LLD in the late early 1900s. So I try to follow that legacy. And of course, they were writers. I wouldn't call myself a prolific writer by any means, but I do try to use that skill, to get my point across and to educate the public. So anyway, I'm gonna get off to start some breakfast. But I just want to wish everyone a happy MLK Day and just encourage you to actually think about the holiday and its historic connections with where our nation has been and where we are today.